introduction. To add to that, I'm also a medical student, right? In the 5th year, I'm currently working in Münsterling. I'm in the inner medicine department. And I also wanted to get to know you. I saw that there were 3 other people joining in, and also Maya. And I wanted to know what your background is, so I can adapt my presentation a little bit to your taste and liking.
Hi. So did you ask us to say what?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah. So I'm actually a medical fellow in psychiatry, in Psychiatrie St. Gallen. I'm
okay.
in my bureau right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also a medical doctor. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, we've got the medical students. I see Daniel. He's also in the 4th year medicine. Right next to us. I was expecting some more business students. Is CADA business? Business and computer science. So we've got 1 business and computer science student. That's nice. And then we will continue with my next question, whether you wanted to whether you considered to found a startup, or if you already did. Okay, so we've got 2 experienced founders, maybe, no? Yes. Yes, maybe. Okay. We've got all the 3 answers. 5 already, maybe 2. I hope I will give you some input and make it to a yes, hopefully. Then what industries are you considering doing your startup in, or company? MedTech, awesome. Digital health, of course, so diagnostics makes sense too. MedTech. I have still no idea yet. It's also good. Great. So with that, I will start off with a short presentation of what we do at ETER Health. So I'm Tim. I'm a medicine student, and I'm doing this journey or project together with Christoph, who is a finance student at HSG. And our vision was to create 100 million healthy years until the year 2030. And our vision was that we empower people to embark on their personal longevity journey and to make people really take their own health into their hands. And how we do that is with our mission, and we want to predict biological age and risk factors to deliver personalized interventions. So we all know our healthcare system, and we're also aware that there is not a lot of prevention going on. It's a lot of sick people, and currently the costs are going through the roof. And the biggest share of these costs are actually caused by non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases are diseases that cannot be transmitted like the flu or COVID. You get them via your lifestyle. For example, diabetes, you eat too much sweets over the course of your life, and the risk increases. Also, the most prominent one would be lung cancer. If you stop smoking, that would be good, and decreasing the risk factors. And non-communicable diseases, they not only impose very big costs on the healthcare system, but they also are very serious for the patients. In medicine, there's the concept of quality adjusted life years. So if you have a non-communicable disease, you not only live shorter, but the quality is also highly impacted. So for example, with diabetes, it starts off pretty insignificantly, but you still have to go to the doctor. So that's why you lose efficiency time, you cannot go to work. And then in the course of the disease progression, it gets more severe. And that's not only bad for the patient, but you also have to care for elderly people with chronic diseases more. So that's where a lot of family members need to be recruited. So the costs are big directly for the patient and also indirectly through work time lost and family members, as I've already said. So that's bad, but the good thing is that most of non-communicable diseases can be avoided. the majority. There's, of course, genetic and also aspects that cannot be modified, but a lot can be done. In general, our healthcare system also has other few trends and things that are going badly. So we're having rising healthcare costs, as I've already mentioned, and also a shortage of health professionals. I'm working in Münsterling right now, and doctors come in early and they go late. And it's the same with the care professionals. So how can we do prevention when there's so little time? And there needs to be a system how we can do that, because there's also a rise in demand for prevention. It's a big trend right now. There was an NZZ article just last week, which commented on big billionaires investing lots of money into longevity, maybe because they're so old and they want to change that. But nevertheless, there's definitely a big trend going on there and more demand. So to conclude, prevention as it currently stands is too labor intensive. And there's also another aspect of this continuous monitoring that is lacking. And this is where we want to start off with ETER Health. So our solution is a scalable, affordable, and continuous approach to prevention with the help of AI, which can be used to analyze big chunks of data, for example, patient history data, which is not used currently, and a doctor would need to ask whether your dad had diabetes or whether your dad had high cholesterol levels, and whether it would then make sense to check it earlier than usual, not at 50, but maybe at 40. And this is where artificial intelligence can come in and make these decisions quicker and automated. So what we want to offer is a companion app for all your health data. It should integrate digital biomarkers, and then also 2 blood tests a year, so you're having a baseline, which is then also important for the second part, which I will come to later. So we're having the wearables and phone data integration and 2 blood tests. There's a sample of around 15 biomarkers that makes sense to take them as a baseline, a normal Blutbild we call in German, for example, and then some risk factor related biomarkers like LDL cholesterol and, for example, blood glucose. And we want to do that continuously. And then when it makes the most sense. So another example could be that you're, for example, a vegetarian or a vegan. You start off with the diet, but you do not realize that you need to check for vitamin B12 levels. So our approach with the continuous measurement, integrated dashboard with all your medical information that's been analyzed with language models to predict risk factors and then to adapt the different approaches. So there's 3 advantages, medical advantages, but then also obviously business advantages, since this needs to work out as a model. So with a long collection data time, you can assess interventions personally. You can also sell off supplements and continuously make suggestions, for example, in the case of a vegan client. And then also now to the main proposition of us, which is the biological age, which we can visualize with a model that we've built, which is the next slide. So we have built a data model, a large neural network, which predicts intra-age variability and which acts as your biological age estimation. So in this model, we've integrated 5 digits of different patients, and each patient comes in with 100 variables. And there are around 40 blood biomarkers included, and then another 60 to 70 questionnaire questions. For example, whether you're smoking or whether there's a cancer history, diabetes history in your family. And as you can see, for example, a 30-year-old patient, it would be distributed along the other 30-year-olds. And he could see where he lands on the scale. So he could be 1 year younger than the average based on his risk factors, or 1 year older. And as we can see, our model is standard standard normal distributed, and with a kernel density estimation which evens out unbalances, we get this red line here. So how does the market look like? As I've already said, there's a big demand for longevity treatments worldwide. There's lots of money going in and a lot of startups that are being created in Switzerland, but also in the US. And the global anti-senescence therapy market is about to reach 44 billion by 2030, which just includes therapies, for example, these high-end laser skin treatments and stuff like that, and even stem cell therapies, which are not really evidence-based for now, but which are still offered and very expensive at exclusive resorts. For example, the Longevity Center here. And we want to offer a scalable and affordable solution so that we can hit the total market and not only the very rich people. So that's why it needs to be scalable and cheap. There is other competitors, for example, CARE, which is a prominent one in Zurich, and they offer a lot of biomarkers. Most of them are not very actionable in my opinion, and it's very expensive. You start off with 100 francs per month. And the same business model is also in Germany with ETER, but they've already decreased the costs down to a very, very low price. But we want to have this continuous aspect and also make it affordable and also integrate the digital biomarkers. So what we offer is a high accuracy measurement. I'm leveraging AI, then frequent and cheap blood tests, only focusing on the biomarkers that make sense to make, which are actionable and where people are at risk, and assessing the baseline just when you need it. Also, we want to have in-app recommendations without the help of medical professionals when it comes to easy lifestyle adaptations, for example, step counts, where the evidence is pretty good that up to 80,000 steps, you decrease a lot of chronic disease risk. And also we're developing a front end with a dashboard that you can show to doctors if needed. So for the business side, all of the business students are here now. We're targeting 20 francs per month, equal to a Netflix payment subscription. And there's three business models and payment ways that we're looking at. First of all, we're considering going direct to consumer. The second one we were considering is to look for health insurances, which offer an ecosystem to their private insured people, and then also pharmacies. And then there's also another third group, which are corporate health programs. There's a prominent example of Kian Health. This is a Swiss startup founded by an ex-McKinsey employee who burned out and is now trying to change mental health for employers. And we're looking out for possibilities, not only mental health, but then also in biological and metabolic health to prevent non-communicable diseases, which would also in the long term help employers to keep their employed people healthy. So what have we achieved so far? Here you can see me on the right. I had a mustache then. This was last year in October. I'm wearing the same sweater today, but now in a different place. And this was at the ETH AI Summit, where we presented our startup initially. And on the left, you can see Christoph, my co-founder, at the symposium at HSG, at a GP symposium, where we asked medical professionals whether they liked an interface and how it would integrate into their daily practice. I'm also doing a research project with Tobias Kovac on this currently. I'm interviewing Swiss medical doctors, and then in summer I will do this in Singapore as well, and then compare them. So where did it all start? Last year, Christoph and I were both accepted into the Telling pre-incubator, where we were having different ideas, and where we started off with an insurance tech idea and then kind of pivoted into the healthy longevity road as I was doing some research on that Tobias Kovac. In total, we've already collected 7,000 funding in grants, 5 of which we have collected from Talent and 2,000 at the HSG Entrepreneurial Talents Program. We are currently looking for research collaborations and a clinical trial, are working on the front end and are thus soon ready to start up a pilot project. So far, we have achieved a proof of concept and a high-performing back-tested model. And currently, as I'm still in my practical year and my time is constricted, we are looking for other doctors or medical students to join our team. So as you can see here, this is me. I'm Tim. I'm becoming a doctor in 2025, and I'm doing research with Tobias Kovac. I was a former dragon boat racing national athlete for Switzerland in 2018. And my co-founder, Christoph, who is also a HSG alumni and still student. He's finishing up his master thesis in the MECFIN. And he has experience in machine learning and AI algorithms and has built SaaS at his job in investment banking at Raiffeisen in Vienna, where he also did his bachelor degree in data science and economics. As you can see, we've been incubated in Talentkick and the startup HSG program. And on the left side, you can see a question mark. And this is a mentor. And this is one of the learnings that I wanted to share with you. So in our short but intensive period, we've had 3 different mentors. We started off with Sébastien Mueslet. Sébastien Mueslet is CEO of Genome. They produce an epigenetic test to assess biological age, where we had early feedback on our pitch decks and stuff like that, which was very helpful to us. Then also Tobias Wolf. He's a lecturer at HSG and co-founder of Online Doctor. He gave us feedback too, and we're very happy to have him on board as well for feedback. And then obviously also Tobias Kovac, who is my boss and who has given me a lot of opportunities and also feedback on questions scientifically and also on the business perspective. So this is what I want to give you as a first learning, which is to convince mentors to support you, because you can avoid mistakes that have been made already by others and to progress faster that way. So to the lessons learned, I've already mentioned mentors. So seeking mentorship from individuals who have gone through the journey is definitely something that you should do, and which is worth the effort. And one thing I can recommend is to go through incubators like we did at Talentkick. They often have a warm network of individuals and ex-founders or founders that are very motivated to give back their knowledge to a new generation, because they know that it's rough sometimes, and they're usually very, very open if you ask them. So don't be surprised. Don't be scared to ask for opportunities. Go out, ask for a warm introduction. And sometimes you might be surprised that even big CEOs from Series A or B companies will take time for you once every week, 15 minutes to answer your questions. And then there's also one other thing that I wanted to point out, which is a founder's agreement. Usually the stories that you hear is that people go to start a company in their living room, they're working all weekend, and then Facebook is born and stuff like that. But being friends and living together in a flat usually is not how founders agreements work, and that can lead to conflicts later. So I suggest that when you start a company or a startup, you do go and work all weekend and do this crazy thing and try to build a product and work on an idea, but then also talk about your motivation values, milestones that you want to achieve, roles, responsibilities, and how decisions are made, because later in the process, this can really bite you and can definitely lead to conflicts. So all things are good. You can talk about how you want to reach the big unicorn valuation and how you want to raise money soon, but also talk about how things go or how you want to act when things go bad. Exactly. And if you've not talked it out, then maybe try it out too. There's hackathons for students here at the Start Summit. There's a big hackathon, and Swiss-wide, there's a lot of opportunities to check how people react when they get stressed. And then now to the third point, which is timing and commitment. And what I can say is that universities offer a very big network of motivated and talented people. And here at HSG, there's a lot of clubs where students can come together. Also the healthcare club where you can meet interested people for the medtech space, and where you can network and maybe find a co-founder. There's also intra-university events or incubators like Talent Kick, but then also there's co-founder matchings, I think once every semester. So go out there and find people if you want to do this. It's also pretty nice to start validating your idea as a student, even though you're having time constraints because of university, and in my case, because of medical studies and my practical year, you can still validate an idea and get first funding and experience. Nevertheless, there's a big time commitment if you want to go full-time, because most institutions require you to go full-time when they give you the first funding. And then last but not least, most startups fail, but you're still learning with each pivot and restart. And especially as a student, go out there and try it, because the best thing that can happen is you go to the $1 billion valuation and you become one of the few founders who's a unicorn founder. But if not, then you have at least learned a lot during the process. For my final slide, I've collected some useful resources that I've gathered along my journey. Again, 3 different areas for the HSG students or students that are listening to this recording. And there's newsletters. One that I really liked is Gary Monk's newsletter. It's a newsletter about digital health and the recent business updates there. For example, Big Pharma, what they are buying in AI or collaborations, but also new series rounds that have been raised. So just getting a topic overview is nice. And then also startupkicker.ch, which is a Swiss newsletter. And you can find useful information about incubators, free courses on marketing and stuff like that. And then also Health Trends, which is a more specific one for digital health too, where you have an overview about 300 Swiss digital health startups and how they're clustered and what they're doing. And then also PitchBook is a nice resource. As a student here at HSG, we have access to that. And it's part of the coursework that you're doing. And it's pretty nice to have as a founder for free, because usually you have to pay a lot of money for that. It's nice to look up potential angel investors, investors in your area that have done deals like that. Not even if you're seeking for investment, but also, as I've said, maybe to convince them to become your mentor. You can find people there pretty easily. And then from the incubator side, I wouldn't be here today standing in front of you and giving this guest lecture here if it weren't for programs like Talent Kick. Talent Kick gave me and Christoph a good platform to meet, and also other very smart and bright individuals. And a lot of teams have formed there. And then also there's obviously the HSG Entrepreneurial Talents Incubator here, which I visited last semester. And then there's other incubators which are good for matchmaking if you're not having a co-founder yet and you're still thinking about, maybe I want to do this. The 3 of you which have participated in the Slido earlier. Entrepreneur First is a program, I think in Paris and London and even worldwide, where you get matched with other students at the end of your university, and you get a 3 months stipend to work on the idea. And in the end, it's kind of like a YC combinator type style where you have a presentation and get additional funding in the end of the program if you graduate. It's all nice, incubators, but always look out for IP rights and equity. When you're at university and money is offered, it's not always non-dilutive funding, and sometimes strings are attached. So look out, because it might be a big hassle for you to get your IP rights of your developed product. If it just got you 1,000 francs from a university and they have the license for it in the end. Then student-specific accelerators and funding. There's two big funds at university. There's the Campus Fund, which was formerly a Wingman Fund, a big venture capital company in Switzerland, founded by an ex-founder of Get Your Guide. And then also S2S Ventures. And they both offer 25,000 in convertible loans. And S2S also invests in seed rounds or pre-seed rounds. For example, also the startup Storable and High scheme. For industry and academia partnerships, there is a nice funding vehicle called startup project or something like that, where you can get 15,000 francs as a startup if you're cooperating with a research institution and work on evidence generation as well as your product development. Then there's other nice accelerators and funding methods, for example, the Venture Kick Fund, which gives you 10,000 in non-dilutive funding and another 40 to 140,000 exactly. And the Venture Fund, which then gives you a lot more in your seed stages. Currently, there is a venture pitch competition running, which is a nice example of how 100,000 francs isn't always the same. Lots of these fundings, there are big numbers, but it's mostly in services. So if you win the venture competition, you get 100,000 worth of services, but that includes a McKinsey consultant, and their fees are very high. So in the end, you might not get a lot of it out. Another example of this is the Future of Health grant, which is nice. It's a grant in Geneva at EPFL with ESS insurances. So you're always getting a nice network if you get into these grants, even though there might just be services. SIGTIC is an angel investment, company or club in Switzerland with smart money investments for the early stages. And then last but not least, there is a lot of sustainable development goals attached to some grants, because it's not only good to build a big company, but also to do good in the world. So it is often a requirement to meet 3 of those. So think about that when you have your idea, not to do a fintech only, maybe. I don't know. One thing to look at in the future is here Horizon Europe. The EU is giving away also startup funding and opening up to Switzerland. I think they're currently in discussions, not only for research purposes. So not only academics can profit from the development there, but also startups. And that's been it from my side. I hope I gave you some inspiration to start your company or some learnings. And I hope you don't make the same mistakes. Get your mentor, get your founders agreement, and do it while university, because the network is so nice. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tim, for sharing your insights. Unfortunately, Toby had to leave a little earlier because he has a meeting at the University of Zurich today. So I will take care of the Q&A session, and maybe I can start already with a question, if that's fine for you. Okay, so did I understand it right that you did not meet your co-founder in your personal environment? So you met at a event, right? So
Yes,
from okay. So can you maybe explain this a little bit, where you met? Because I was wondering, you showed us that you're searching now for an additional medical student because of your time issues to support you there. But are you also missing any other skills at the moment that you think, hey, that would be great to have such a person in our team, or maybe in the future when you have a little look out there? So what is a great team building mechanism, or what kind of skills do you think should be included at the very beginning?
So starting off with the first question, how we met. This is a Talent Kick program, it's called. It's supported by a few Swiss funds. And you get support, coaching, and also 5,000 if you graduate in the end. And it's currently open. You can apply for it. You go through interview rounds, and in the end, you meet up. you get through it. And it was a big cohort. And the first meeting was in Bern. So there were 40 people with different backgrounds, which leads to the second question of what's important. Of course, you want to have a diverse background. So just going to a HSG founders meeting might not help, but it still builds a network and is nice. And these inter-university programs or events are really nice because for a startup, you cannot only have medical knowledge, but you also need to have product development skills and also sales. I'm a medical student, so I have not been working on a lot of marketing. So having a diverse team with different backgrounds is something that you need to look out for. Even when it clicks, the same background will or might hinder you.
Very important. Are there any other questions for Tim at this point?
Yeah, maybe from my side. Hi, Tim. I'm Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Your primary customer, the customers which you want to address first are like end users, and yet your presentation comes very, I would say, technical. And I would say me as an end user, I'm not worried about, what did you call it? 100 million years. I'm interested in maybe gaining 5 or 10.
Yeah.
So are you planning to change your some sort of pitch to address like the end users more? What is your position on that?
So the pitch was an adaptation of an investor's pitch. So this is why it was so technical. The 100 million life years that I've mentioned is a cumulative goal. So by 2030, it would be reaching 100 million people and then getting 1 year, which would also be really nice. So that's the big vision to make sure that people are on board, that we're not joking around. And it's nice to start off with that. Generally, of course, with prevention, it's pretty hard to hit the end user. But marketing and other channels are where we want to get them. So if you're not sold yet, I'm not worried.
No, but I think if you want to address this, and even if you want to find investors, I think an investor should get the idea how you want to spark the interest. So maybe that's as a feedback.
Thanks.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I actually, first I want to say sorry that I interrupted at the beginning. I didn't understand how the poll worked. My question is similar, like I'm concerned about the market. I mean, you made some market analysis on a global level, but like, how are you planning to do market analysis really on your customer base, like to try out, are they prepared, are people actually prepared to pay 20 francs per month in order to so that they get this information that they are not living healthy. And also my concern is that actually just the people who are already interested in living healthy will be then interested in an app like this, but at the same time, those are the healthiest population already. And on the other side, the people who are living not that healthy usually don't have a lot of money, and maybe I'm not so sure that they will be, like, from my feeling of how business is when you try to sell something, that it's not going to be that easy to sell them an app for 20 francs per month. Do you have any strategy? How are you going to tackle this?
Yeah, so of course, if you go direct to consumer, there needs to be an inherent interest to change something. But that's why we're also considering the other two paths that I mentioned, and which are going to insurers directly. So we can get access to a pool of insured people and offer it via their doctors or pharmacies, for example, and also the corporates, where corporates try to promote it for us. So these are the 2 points. Generally, making prevention work as a business is a challenge because of these constraints that you mentioned. So reaching vulnerable individuals is tough. And so getting into ecosystems, for example, into GPs practices and being included in, for example, med-based GPs practice, where they can then hook people up and then be, in the best case scenario, also covered by insurance would be the way to go. There's big examples like Singapore, where they shifted their system to a more preventative approach. I'm going there in summer, and I hope to get some inspiration from there and to bring it back here, whether it's public health or via the startup.
Okay. I think in this case, maybe it would be a good idea just to go to Medbase directly already before you even build the product and ask them if they would want to have a product like this and that you will build it for them. Otherwise, you know, you can put a lot of work into building something. And yeah.
Definitely. That's what we've been doing. And then this is what where mentors help, for example, Tobias Wolf, who has introductions to people like that. Exactly.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for this interesting and important question, Maya. Yes, testing and adapting and testing again, very important. Another question from someone else. Is there something open or a comment? Hey, doesn't look like it. I'm going to post the keynote speech from tomorrow as well in the chat for you. It would be great to see you then again with Benno. And thanks a lot for, yes, there was, thanks for mentioning S2S, Tim. And Tim, thank you so much for your insights. I think it's very important also and interesting to also see what the kind of steps you have to take at the very beginning when you really start with a concept, and to start as a medical student with such a project. We are very proud that you were here today as one of the first medical students from the Joint Medical Master at St. Gallen to start your own business. That's amazing. And yes, thank you so much for the lovely presentation, and have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Thanks for the invitation and thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.